Now, if you're following along at home, you're thinking to yourself, Adam, you told us that classic science fiction is not for you and you are done with it. And that's true. But technically, I bought this one before I bought Childhood's End, so this one doesn't count. I've been saving this. Look, it's a tiny one. So I've been saving it for when I've only got just like a little bit of time to read something and I don't want to start something bigger. And this came in super handy. It's only 100 pages, something you can read in one day. And we're going to talk about it. Now, I'll split this up into non-spoilers and spoilers, even though there's really not too much to spoil. I'll keep it spoiler-free initially for those who still want to read this book. A book from 1895 is when it was published. So yeah, this is a thrill ride. Not so much. It's okay, all right? I'm not gonna beat up on it. It's a fine story. It is just, one man's idea of what the future would be like. And he sets this way far ahead in like the year 800,000, past the year 800,000. So that's smart because you can just invent whatever you want, right? If you would have said like the year 2100, 2200, you still have to, make it seem somewhat believable as to what's happened. But you throw it to the year 800,000. Who cares? So, smart idea. Now, this book, it's about a guy. He invites some professional colleagues over, some people with varying expertise in life, like there's a doctor, a journalist, these kind of people. He brings them over to his house and he shows them a prototype for a time machine, just a little one that he demonstrates and it goes poof, and they're all kind of like, huh? What was that? Magic trick? Sleight of hand? Smoke and mirrors? And he's like, come back another day and I'll show you the real thing. So they come back, they're waiting around, they're like, oh, dinner is getting cold, let's go sit down and eat. The guy comes busting through the doors, looking all disheveled, and they're like, good God, man, what happened to you? And he's like, do we have something to eat? Some meat. I'd do anything for some meat. And they're like, yeah, sit down. So he sits down at the table and they start, making comments and asking questions while he's eating. He's like, wait. Eating. When he's done, he's like, okay, follow me to this room. I'll tell you where I've been and what I've seen. And that's when we get the story of his travels. Now, this story, it's all just observations. There's no dialogue. So when you're reading this, it is just block texts forever. I said it's only 100 pages, so it's short, but ooh, man. And it's just his thoughts, his observations. So, and it, like our minds, they can go off on a tangent or think something else, change thoughts really quickly. So there are moments when you're reading, if you start to like drift away, or, you do that daydream reading, you'll all of a sudden come to something like, wait, what's going on? You go back, oh, I totally missed that one sentence where he just totally changed what he was talking about. So there's some of that. Stay focused in the block text. But yeah, he goes to the year 800,000. He sees that he assumes humans have evolved into like two different paths. And where he goes, there's a set of humans who live on the surface, and there's a set of humans who live underground. And of course, they look different, they act different. You read these old books and they're always making comparisons to their present day and time. He talks about communism. He talks, not a ton, just a little bit. His observations about communism. He's like, oh, this is the class system, or it's about the haves and the have-nots. The people who live up here act this way and have this kind of life. The people who live down below, or blah, blah, blah. I didn't really care too much about that. You know me, it's all about the story. And so, of course, he befriends someone up on top. They don't speak English, so again, no dialogue. There's no real talking in this. It's just kind of them trying to communicate through actions. And then he does have some run-ins with the Morlocks down below. Oh, and he discovers pretty quickly after he's been walking around seeing what's going on here that his time machine is missing. Whoops. Now he discovers where it is, and so throughout, he's just has some like relaxing time where he's trying to spend time with this one person he's befriended. Not initially, he's a little annoyed by them, but eventually he comes to really care for them. And he's also trying to stay safe from the Morlocks, and 3, trying to get to where his time machine is so he can go home. So that's the thing. Does he ever get his time machine back? Does he go home? That's for you to discover. And that's where I'm going to end it for... Sorry, my alarm just went off like crazy over there. Where was I? Yeah, okay, so ending it for non-spoilers. If you're, again, I always say this with these classic ones, if you're a deep science fiction fan, you'll probably enjoy this. If you like seeing where the genre started and interested to seeing how the first works of science fiction came about, you'll probably like it. If you're like me and you just want a short little fun story to get you on to the next one, you could probably pass on this one. You're not going to get anything out of it. I mean, there's some stuff to think about at the end, but other than that, it's just a story. I mean, you and I can probably come up with the stories like, oh, if I had to do a story in the year 800,000, what would you create? So that's all this is. That's all this is. So if you haven't read it and you want to read it, stop here. We're going to do spoilers. If you don't think you want to read it, come right on along and let's talk about the end of this. Ready? 3, 2, 1, let's go. He finds the time machine. He gets in it and he goes back home. Now, what would you do if you had had this experience? You went through time, way to the great beyond. You even went to almost the end of the Earth's life cycle, at least the sun's, right? He goes to that place on the beach. He gets that eclipse with Mercury passing in front of the sun. It's like, holy cow. How can you go back to normal life after that? You couldn't. You couldn't. A, nobody believes him. 2, you can't relate to anybody. You have all this stuff you've seen and done. You can't talk about it with anyone. And people who go on with their normal lives and complain about stupid little inane things, and you're just like, yo, I mean, none of this stuff matters. So it's totally not surprising when our narrator goes into the room, he opens up the door and poof, the time machine goes. It's been 3 years and the time traveler has never been seen again. Totally understandable. The kind of thing I can think that it relates to is like people who have walked on the moon. How can you relate to that? Like you come back and everybody's like, whoa, you walk, and see, we've seen it. These people in the book, you know, they have no evidence other than the flowers, but they haven't seen him go. They haven't been to the places. They don't have pictures from there. So they're just like, yeah. We've seen people walk on the moon, but we can't relate to that. You know, they come back and all the training they've done, not only just walking on the moon, but like the journey to get there, nobody can relate to you. You come back and people are complaining about the prices of oranges and you're like, I was just walking on the moon. There was one point we were around there on the dark side. We had no communication with people. We had these alarms going off. We thought our oxygen was going to be gone, and you're complaining about oranges? So you can totally understand. If that was me, if that was probably, I'm guessing any one of you, you couldn't live normal life. Even if you had family, it's like, listen, I got to go. Even if you don't go back to, he doesn't go back to that same place, you're going to go to different times. I want to go to the year 10,000, 500,000, the year 3,722. You're never going to stop. So totally understandable. And I thought it's like, yeah, if that was me, goodbye this year. I can't just sit around. Nothing else matters. So I said the story was all right. A little bit to think about at the end. Overall, pretty forgettable. But if you need something to pass the time, if you're a sci-fi freak, why not? I think this only cost me a couple bucks. So a couple bucks for a few hours of entertainment, not too bad. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I will see you next time.